It's been an entire year since Trailblazer Reloaded, but we are back. Leagues 5, The Raging Echoes is only a few weeks away. Let the countdown begin. The Day 3 reveal was each region's Echo boss. Each of the 9 regions you can choose from will have a single boss that has an upgraded version with more hit points and mechanics. In most cases, killing the boss gives you a chance to receive an orb that unlocks the Echo version permanently. Each boss also comes with new unique items, so let's go through them one by one. Asgarnia buffs Cerberus, which now drops the Dog Sword, a combination of all the God Swords. This makes for pretty much guaranteed the best special attack weapon in the game, and assuming similar perks as previous leagues, there will be something to buff special attacks and make this weapon ridiculous. Damage, healing, stat reduction, freezing, prayer and HP restoration, and bonus delayed damage in one attack is absurd. The Desert adds probably the simplest but a very powerful option. The Kalphite Queen now drops the Drygore Blowpipe, a 2-tick weapon on accurate that takes the Fang's special effect of a rolling accuracy twice. A highly accurate blowpipe is an absurd proposition, and that will round out any range build nicely. Morytania offers the potential best meme, but in my opinion the worst drop. The Grotesque Guardians drop upgraded Barrows gloves that provide double the Amulet of the Damned and Barrows sets effects. Essentially, you're going all in on Barrows gear to have insane buffs. For example, Darok should do 197% bonus damage at 1 HP. That means the single hit potential is going to be absolutely unreal, but compared to some other region drops it just seems to fall flat. Upgraded Carols will be good, but the only real potential I see is full Arams. Going from 25% chance of 30% bonus damage to 50% chance of 60% bonus damage could really pair well with Kandrin, we'll see next. The Wilderness offers the KBD, now dropping 2 items, a one-handed sword and shield. The sword is a Thunder Khopesh, a better version of the Blade of Sildor with an insane passive that has a 20% chance to cause AoE damage in a 3x3, rolling with 50% of the original max hit. It also comes with a special attack costing 50% where you attack twice, and as long as you hit at least once, you get a 3rd bonus hit. There's also the Thousand Dragon Ward, an absurd stat shield for all styles that also provides immunity from most status effects. Kandrin offers a shield slot item called the Devil's Element from Thermi, giving unlimited elemental runes and doubling the elemental weakness effect. Couldn't be more straightforward. This is a direct buff to Elemental Mage and pairs nicely with potentially the Barrows gloves above. The Fremennik area shows off the Dag Kings, dropping a ring and amulet that have absurd stats, plus 30 in all attack and defense, plus 15 to melee and range strength, plus 10 and plus 5 to magic strength. The Fremennik region just became a guaranteed powerhouse for any build, as these items will buff all combat tremendously. Tyrannwn buffs the Gauntlet, which after your first completion you guarantee the unlock. This allows you to skip all the Gauntlet prep and just fight the boss with full supplies and gear. The new drop is a Blessing worn in the ammo slot that extends the accuracy and damage effect of crystal armor to melee weapons while the set is worn. That's 15% damage and 30% accuracy, which will immediately pair nicely with the Blade of Sildor from the same boss. Kourend offers a unique choice from Hespori, which also guarantees unlimited access after your first KC. The weapon is a Salamander that has all 3 attack styles with very powerful stats. It's a similar sort of support to me as Fremennik, where you can't go wrong but it doesn't commit you in any single direction. The melee version of the Salamander is also a ranged attack from 6 tiles away. Finally, Varlamore shows off the boosted Soul Harridan in the Colosseum. After your first completion, you'll be able to access the Echo version indefinitely for the chance at 2 new drops, a 2-handed Sunlight Spear and the Sunlight Bracers. The Spear has great stats but a slower attack speed and is 2-handed than the Thunder Khopesh. That is a very interesting effect where it stacks sunlight and may consume 7 of them, with a special attack to do AoE damage, scaling by 3% per bonus prayer. This synergizes very nicely with the available prayer gear and should still benefit in single target areas. Essentially every 7 hits you get to do a bonus AoE hit and do bonus damage even if it's single target. Also, being able to get Soul's Weapon is just the coolest thing I've seen in a long time in this game. The Bracers are strong for melee but even more fantastic range gloves with a very interesting passive where all healing received is doubled. That means blood spells, food, brews, etc. are all healing you double. So with all the items described, let's take a look at the bigger picture. Why is everything melee? There's definitely some multi-style items, but we got 1 range weapon and 1 mage offhand. Now these are some really cool looking melee weapons, but just saying. In any case, the obvious range buff is the KQ Desert Blowpipe, and the mage buff is the Kandrin Shield slot. Fremennik Kourend, and to a lesser degree Morytania, offer a more balanced approach, guaranteeing you better combat across the board. Every other region benefits mostly melee, Asgarnia giving a more holistic approach by doing things like healing and lowering stats, which helps all combat styles, albeit through melee. Wilderness, Varlamore, and Tyrannwn give upgrades pretty much exclusively melee based, although Varlamore does offer the more well-rounded bracelets. So this is a good time to interject with a prediction on how combat will go. They've already teased these combat masteries, and it looks like the regions are attempting to be more balanced in their offering. I think there's a good chance that instead of choosing a single combat style like we did before, we will either not make any choice at all and have masteries buffing each combat style, or we will have a more combined approach to perks. For example, choosing either range plus melee, melee plus mage, or mage plus range. I think one of the incentives for rounding out the regions is people feeling less obligated to go that prescribed mage route, but I'm afraid that would still largely be the case if they flip that paradigm and make all styles important to everyone. So with that being said, let's see how these rewards stack up given the information that we have now. Doing some initial DPS calculation around melee, the Wilderness Sword and Shield together outperform the Soul Heritage Spear in most cases. They both have similar AoE special attack effects, although using the special attack with the Soul Spear seems far more common since it always stacks every 7 hits. One key difference is the Spear is 5 tick and the Sword is 4 tick, so similar buffs as last time. I think we'll see the Spear actually become better than the Sword, since last time 5 tick weapons went down to 2 ticks, same as 4 tick weapons going down to 2 ticks. It's too early to tell. I'd easily rank the Sword and Shield over the Spear for now, but the bracelets are incredibly strong. Doubling all healing is such a god tier perk for extending trip lengths, managing things like Inferno, or using things like Guthans. There's a very high chance that using those bracers, you can face tank things that would normally be impossible. For melee, I'd expect taking one of these regions to be mandatory. Both rewards are god tier. The shield is mostly a DPS boost in my opinion, as ignoring these status effects is mostly just a nice to have. The Asgarnia Dog Sword is a good meme, but also potentially very strong in a melee setup where you have to have access to a special attack relic. There's always been something like that, so I think it's a safe bet that there will be a similar relic. In previous leagues, you could just walk in and burst down an entire God Wars boss in one spec bar, so this would be incredibly strong. It does require a very high Slayer level to obtain, which is kind of off-putting if you want a more quick dopamine league experience. For instance, you can try the Colosseum the moment you hit Varlamar, but locking the Echo boss behind 91 Slayer and a task is pretty brutal. For all those reasons and not knowing what spec buffs we'll have, I'd say this is currently pretty underwhelming. There's not too much to say about the Drygore Blowpipe in the desert. It's probably the best in slot range in tons of places where you don't need the range from the Twisted Bow or the Bofa. Getting darts can be kind of annoying, but relics, or maybe masteries, often take care of ammo concerns for the most part. This really would make the desert the most powerful if we only could choose one region, since you could walk out there with the Masori, Blowpipe, Shadow, and a Fang. This region could be unmissable as we learn more about combat, but I'll cover that in a later region video. Easy choice if you're going a range route, as it's the only unique weapon, and I think it's a very, very solid choice. The Grotesque Guardian Gloves is on the surface level pretty terrible, but considering the mage route with Kandarin's items, you could be doing some big hits. Water Wave maxes to 20 with no % bonus, doubles to 40 on a Fire Giant because of its water weakness. You can then double that to 80 with the Kandarin Devil's Element. And then there's another 50% chance to increase that to 128 using Ahrim's with the Ahrim's Gloves. Fire Giants have 111 HP, so you could be literally one-hitting Fire Giants without any mage boosting gear, and there's plenty, including some of the listed items. Darox also becomes a nice meme where you should be able to hit close to a 200 if you're at 1 HP. I say it's a meme because realistically keeping that HP and doing tough content is impractical most of the time, but for mage this could actually be an unmissable upgrade. Fremennik is the perfect support region, and should be everyone's default support region if they're focused on combat for the league. The items can add 15% magic damage, you're adding 3 to 5 max hit with melee weapons, you're adding 7 max hit to the Drygore Blowpipe if you're moving from jewelry like Glories, you unlock Wrath Runes, it's pretty hard to miss. I'd say the amulets are definitely possible to go without, but their versatility does make them very strong and you can't possibly go wrong. Tronwyn is another meh item in my opinion. It offers essentially a black mask type upgrade while wearing crystal, but I don't think this will outperform the Fremennik items in most places, and those cover all 3 styles. It also forces you to spend more time in the Red Prison, but skipping prep and getting to the action right away does make Gauntlet seem more palatable. I think this has the potential to be one of the worst items since it leaves out mage entirely and the region already lacks that, and the buff to melee isn't strong enough to justify leaving other region perks behind. Karen for now is also kind of bad. It does everything well but nothing great. The DPS calculator shows non-promising results on a variety of mobs, but I think it'll be a huge head start for all the 3 styles if hybrid tribriding is important as I think it will be. My thinking is though, why get this item from Espori when you could go to the desert, get a Shadow and a Fang? Note, all of the raids do drop all the mega rares from other raids, but you can still only get the normal raid rewards from the region that it's in. It's a raid, it's probably rarer, but the Drygore Blowpipe will smoke this thing anyway for range, including TOA to get the Shadow. All that being said, Salamander will carry you through the early to mid game towards better items. I don't think I'd be choosing it personally, but given what already exists in Kourend, it could buff up the region. Anyways, that's all for the video and my thoughts on the first 3 days of revealed content. I'm hoping to continue with daily uploads from here and put out a few videos regarding a deeper dive on regions and some of the region relic combinations to help people with decision paralysis find a way to play. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.